So Will comes to me with the topics and gathers ideas and feedback from partners, customers about really what people want to see. And Will came to me saying, what people really want to know is what is the difference between Jet Reports and Power BI, because there's, let's say, a little bit of confusion around that, and that could do with kind of explaining. So my first reaction to that, well, is there a comparison between the two? Because to me, when I look at Jet Reports and Power BI, they are two pretty different things, right? And when things are different, I think, well, in the UK we say if people are different, they are like chalk and cheese. Or I think on the continent, sometimes we say things are like apples and oranges, right? When you cannot really sort of compare two things very well. And the same really, I think, can apply to Jet Reports and Power BI. And I would argue really, they're not the same thing. They are two really good tools, very, very good software. But actually, so what I'm going to help to do is kind of explain, line the two up, and we'll explain exactly where they are best fit. So the two side by side, Jet Reports and Power BI. Well, in fact, Jet Reports is actually built inside Microsoft Excel. So really, you could argue that a fairer comparison might be that we're actually comparing Excel with Power BI. But in the end, Jet Reports with Excel is a financial and operational reporting solution that is built inside Excel, and Power BI is a business intelligence service from Microsoft, which provides self-service visualizations and dashboards, right? So it's more business intelligence led, and it's more suited for people that want to analyze large sets of data in a very sort of summarized and interactive format. Jet Reports is purpose built for Microsoft Dynamics, okay? So NAV, Business Central, and also GP, okay? And Power BI is a generic tool which can be used with a variety of different data sources. But with Jet Reports, you've got a lot of application knowledge inside the product that's kind of built in. So Jet is really focused on real-time reporting from live ERP data. So every single time that you execute a Jet report, we go straight to the ERP, get complete up-to-date data, and return that into Excel in exactly the format that you want. With Power BI, you're working with data models, and typically these are refreshed on a cycle, and the data models are refreshed in advance of reporting. So you're not necessarily reporting from live real-time data with Power BI. So those data sets have got to be refreshed. You can put those onto a schedule. Unless you're using the Power BI Premium, which is the really expensive version, the data sets can be updated something like 8 times per day. So it's all really about using the right tool for the right job, right? So I'd like to have a bit of fun on these webinars and just sort of put this in front of you and say, right, we've got a hammer, a screwdriver, some nails, and some screws, right? Which ones go together? And obviously, the hammer goes really well with nails, and the screwdriver goes really well with screws, and that ends up in a successful situation. But if you were to watch myself doing DIY at the weekends, I cannot say that I've never picked up a screwdriver and tried to bang in a nail if I'm missing the right tool. So if we switch these tools for the software and we look at the tools of Jet Reports and Power BI, which tool is correct for the right job? So when we're looking at Jet Reports, right, this is best of breed solution for financial reporting, operational reporting, and we know that sits inside Excel. For me, Excel is the finance manager's kind of best friend, okay? And Power BI, right? If you're looking to put together more of an executive dashboard, something that is interactive, you want trend analysis with a large data set, maybe several years worth of data, plus you want to utilize the collaboration features of Power BI by publishing that online and sharing that out with other users, then of course that would be the correct tool for that job. Okay, so what I want to do is kind of show you some examples of the actual software working itself, and I'm going to start with Jet Reports. So this, for some people may not have seen the product before. This is just a blank Excel worksheet, and I've got Jet, which is a tab in its own right. So it's an add-in product to Microsoft Excel that sits on its own tab. A lot of the time I start by showing people the Fast Financials tool. It's a very quick way to explain so people understand exactly what the solution or how the solution basically is working. So this tool is to put together a quick financial statement comparing actuals of our general ledger versus a budget, and then showing us a variance in amount and percentage. So I'm just going to scroll down here to select a range of general ledger accounts. I'm just going to grab the whole expense section of the general ledger and then just copy that straight across. This is a drag and drop tool straight into Excel, and Jet will build a report for me automatically with all of those details. And the formulas that are built inside Jet consist of things like this. It's a GL formula. So we have a function wizard that helps us put together these Excel-like formulas, but the purpose of these formulas is to grab data directly from the ERP. They work in very much the same way. If I press F2, I can see the cell dependencies for that. And when we execute reports in Jet, we take advantage of keywords. So for example, if a column is too narrow for a number in Excel, we get these horrible hash values. But if I run and execute this report, everything gets resized according to the width of the information that I get out of the database, because we don't know the width that the column needs to be until after we've actually executed the report. And it would help if I actually type the oh, that's why, because I've put the date incorrectly here. I should put the end date in this one. I did practice this. That's more like it, right? And because this is a formula that works very much like Excel, if I want to come into the report and say, right, well, actually, let's grab this whole section and just copy it across to here, and I want to see a comparison of, okay, well, how do these numbers compare to the previous year? Okay, so that's really easy to do. Sorry, it should be 2018. Right, and then straight away I've got there a comparison of what my numbers were, for the first 3 months of one year versus the first 3 months of the previous year. Okay. So next I want to show you a standard report. So we provide a library of reports on our website that you can download and use freely with Jet Reports. This is an income statement. I've actually changed the standard report and actually turned this into a multiple company report. And the information that is shown on a Jet report can, or the actual content of the report can adjust automatically. So if I put in here a different period start and end date, for example, and I included 6 months in my date range, then I would basically get the correct number of columns for the amount of dates that I've put into the report. This is quite different from the reporting that we get directly out of Nav or Business Central, because what I've actually got here is a tab that's got 2 different companies on here as well. So actually in one report execution, I've actually pulled a profit and loss account from 2 separate companies. That's quite powerful. Now, when you look at the data here, okay, I've got an anomaly in my building maintenance expenses in January 2019. Okay, so it's nice to have interaction back to the ERP to see exactly what that is. And you can see that I've got a drill down button here. If I press that, it actually launches the ERP. And it basically filters out the general ledger entries with the same range of general ledger accounts and the same posting date range value that I had on my report. And if you see down here, I've got an expense of £10,000 that sticks out, and I can just go to entry, I can navigate through, and then I can actually look at the purchase invoice, and I can see here that, we had, so this is actually the purchase invoice document that is associated with the general ledger entry. So, from a user's perspective, it's nice to be able to, look at the report, navigate to the ERP, and actually go back right to the source document. And here you can see that, there was a one-off expense, emergency building repair. There was some flood damage to the building, and we had a one-off expense of £10,000. But that, lets me, navigate directly back to the ERP to see, what any anomalies were like that. When we put this side by side with a Power BI report, this is typically the type of thing that you would see, a high-level dashboard that has, and all of these objects are very much like pivot table objects. It's a high-level kind of overview where you've got KPIs. I've got, for example, sliders here where I can see sales in a different range of years. I can very quickly say, okay, well, what were my sales of a particular item category? And then I could narrow that down to say, well, only show me now the sales by salesperson. And you can see here that all of the objects on the screen are updating interactively. So this is the type of thing that Power BI is good at, and this is the type of thing that lends itself well to this type of dashboarding. You can do the same thing in Excel with pivot tables, with slicers and things like that, but I would say that Power BI is of course a lot of investment has gone into this from Microsoft, but again, it's about positioning which job are you trying to do, which type of reporting are you trying to put together, and which tool best suits that job. Okay, I'm just going to come back here to PowerPoint. He says. Okay, so next topic is, and this is really important, actually getting to the data from the ERP. So if we are using, and I've got an example here, which is Business Central with Power BI. And Microsoft don't give us direct access anymore with Business Central Public Cloud to the SQL database directly. So the way that we access data is via web services. And these web services are made available, and we can pick up data from Business Central into Power BI. But of course, if you've got specific requirements, I mean, there are some queries that Microsoft provide out of the box, but in a lot of cases, people will have requirements for queries, for tables, fields, that type of thing to be grouped together into a query that can be consumed by Power BI. And that requires development skills. So I've actually got, so Visual Studio Code is now the development tool that is required to write an extension, which is a query for Business Central that will allow you to publish your web service for consumption by Power BI. Okay, and every query is pretty much for one specific purpose. Okay, so you might find yourselves, contacting your vendor, asking them to write you a query that gets published as a web service. You build a Power BI dashboard based on that information. Somebody else in your organization likes the look of that and asks for something different. And then you have to kind of repeat that process over and over. And in the end, you could end up with, very specific queries written for specific purposes. And then that's got to be managed over a longer length of time. We take a different approach with Jet products. We have either the ability to directly access the SQL database if we're running an ERP on premises. But for public cloud, we've got two very simple extensions on our App Store or on the Microsoft App Store that have been written to work both with Jet Reports and Jet Analytics, which is the data warehousing solution that we have for more complex requirements. Okay, and when you install the extensions, this allows us via Jet Reports to connect to any table, any field in your database, including flow fields and also extensions. And this could come from customizations, or it could come from add-ons that you've installed, like other ISV solutions. Okay, and when we look at how this really matters when we are in the ERP, so if I come back to Jet and just start again, I actually wrote an extension field for the customer table yesterday, just so I could show this. And if I come into the browser, the browser is the area that shows me all of the tables and all of the fields. This also is a drag and drop tool. So actually I could just put together a simple list report here with a few fields that are coming with Jet Reports. Sales, by the way, is a flow field, but I can use that just the same. And then this is my extension field. And I just added a field called my extension field, and I categorized every customer bronze, silver, and gold. Incidentally, when you're working with Jet in Excel, all of the formatting is exactly standard as you would have in Excel. So any numerical values can be formatted, to the currency that you want. And what I'll do with this particular report is just jump into the formula, and I can just sort the records here by sales in descending order. So all of the customers will be listed in sales. So I've got the largest customers at the top, and if I run that, you can see, nice and easy to go and get my custom data. Okay, and inside the browser, this will continually update. So the browser builds a list of tables and fields. Okay, so as you add extensions or other customizations in the future to your database, right, you're future-proofed by this, because we take care of that, and our adapter will be able to contact anything in the database directly. Okay, so please bear that in mind, because that is certainly a consideration to think about. Well, actually, how do I get to the data to get into Power BI in the first place? Because writing extensions really is the only way of exposing that information, certainly that I'm aware of. So let's just summarize some of the features that we've got inside Jet Reports that are, let's say, specific to Dynamics. Okay, so we know, and we've already discussed, that it's a purpose-built solution. We have got reporting from the actual live ERP data. So every single time that I press run on the report, just as you've seen me do that, it's pretty quick, but certainly for finance people, as soon as you post a journal entry when you're trying to close your monthly accounts, for example, all you need to do is refresh the report, and then that comes out with the numbers exactly as they're posted in the ERP. So you've got immediate refresh of your data coming straight through to Excel in the format that you want. We've just had a look at our adapters, right? How we can access all tables and all fields, including flow fields and extensions. The drill down capability back to Dynamics to easily see the detail, and you can actually go to associated documents, like we looked at the purchase invoice document. And also multi-company reporting, right? You cannot do multi-company reporting when you log into Nav or Business Central. You can only report on the company that you are logged into at the same time, okay? So inside Jet Reports, we can actually pull data from multiple companies and actually multiple data sources in the same report execution. So it's nice and easy to be able to consolidate results together that are coming from different sources. Every time that we execute a report also, we are respecting the permissions for each user who triggered that report request against the ERP permissions. So if somebody tries to run a report, they don't have the ability to read certain information because of your security, the report won't run. Okay, so this is very lightweight for customers, because you do not have to manage any separate security model. We respect the same security model that you already run and maintain in your ERP, so there's nothing else to manage. Reports can be scheduled and distributed by email, and we are using friendly drag and drop tools like you've seen to actually put the reports together. Okay, so we don't actually have any coding or anything like that when we're putting together Jet Reports. So a lot of people might be asking, okay, Rob, but yeah, we still like Power BI. We want to see information from Dynamics in Power BI. Well, I would say, these tools work better together. Okay, the information that we've got in an ERP is structured in a very complex way. There's a lot of linked tables and that type of thing. And any ERP database structure is like this because it's designed for getting data into the system, and it's designed for consistency, but it is not really a good starting point when you're trying to put together any reporting or Power BI dashboards, visualizations, right? What we really need is a nice flat data set. So we need to really get from this point to that. So actually what you can do with Jet Reports is you can use another one of our tools, which is called the Table Builder, in order to construct a tabular data model, and you can actually use that inside Power BI. So I'm just going to show you how we can do that. So I'm going to jump back to Jet Reports. Let's close this one out. Start a brand new sheet. And I'm just going to jump into the table builder here. This is really popular. This allows us to pull information from multiple tables to make the joins, etc. And all the tables are listed here. For the sake of speed, because I'm trying to fit as much into this as I can in the time that we have, open up a template that I've prepared. Okay, so this is a sales model that I've put together for Power BI. And you can see in the design, when it pops up of this, across the top here, I've got fields that come from a lot of different tables. So from the value entry table, from the salesperson table, the customer, we are making lookups to go and get the country, and also from the items, we're making lookups to go and get the product groups and the item categories. Okay, so this is a saved model that we've got, but this took me about excuse me, about 15 minutes to build this. And once you've got the definition of your information, and how that all comes from different tables, we can return that into Excel, and the table builder will build the report definition for us automatically. And then all we need to do is execute this. And I'm trying to do this deliberately to show you, you know, I'm not going to put any date filters on this. We've got a reasonable amount of transactional data in our ERP. So this is going to take a few seconds to refresh. I'm not going to do this with a small amount of data. And actually, in the end, we end up with a like a flat table. Soon, hopefully. And then what we're able to do is to use this table. So that's taken a few seconds to execute, but actually if I jump to the bottom, I've just pulled 120,000 rows of data from Business Central straight into Excel using Jet. And you'll see here that I've got, you know, quite useful information. So I've got sales data, but I've made lookups to go and get the salesperson code. I've got the salesperson name here. I've made lookups to the items. I've gone to get the item product groups, the descriptions of those product groups. And now this is a great data set that I can then import into Power BI. And this can be run on a scheduler, so you can refresh it automatically in the background. And actually, if I jump back to Power BI and look at this sales dashboard, what I did before the meeting, because in Excel, sorry, if I just jump back to here, every table is given a name. So in my table design, you can see up the top here, the table has the name of value entry. And then directly in Power BI, actually, this has come from exactly the same source. So this was an Excel data source, a flattened data set that I've built with Jet Reports. So this dashboard that I showed you earlier has actually come from data that I prepared with Jet. And don't forget, if I wanted to pull in, you know, my custom field like I had before to categorize my customers into bronze, silver, and gold, which are non-standard fields, then of course it makes it, you know, very, very quick to do that. Okay, so actually using the two products in combination with each other is quite a useful thing to do. I'm going to leave, make sure we've got a couple of minutes for questions and that type of thing. But just to explain to you, we've got some further reading that you can. So we've got a lot of attendees on this webinar, but Will is going to send out to you. We've got a nice kind of white paper document that you can sit and read when you have some more time. And this basically lines up some of the challenges that you have with Power BI and the benefits of using Jet Reports. Okay, but you know, it doesn't mean that it's one or the other. I would say that, you know, Jet Reports fundamentally is, you know, best of breed solution for financial and operational reporting. I'm yet to meet a finance manager that wants to swap Microsoft Excel for Power BI for their management accounts. So, you know, and it's all about, and the message here is, yeah, they're two great software products. You know, my favorite software product is the snipping tool, right? Use it every single day. Great product, lousy at financial reporting, right? So this is all about identifying which is the best of breed product. What are you actually trying to do with the software, and which one is easiest to get you to where you want to be? Okay, so I'm hoping that that's been helpful. We're a few minutes just before 11:30, so I'm going to ask Will to field any questions that we've got. And as mentioned, we've got, I think, over 250 people on this webinar, so we're prepared to, of course, stay around for a few minutes extra, as we expect that there may be quite a few questions. So Will, could I ask you, and please type your questions into the chat inside Zoom, and then Will can read those out to me.
Perfect. Cheers for that, Rob. Very interesting, and hopefully everyone learned something new there. So a few questions have come in, Rob. So first of all, how does Jet work with Business Central SaaS?
Yeah, so with the item on Appsource that we showed, the extension, you install that onto your Business Central. So it's a very, very simple installation. That gives us basically a single web service endpoint to connect Jet to, and that gives us the visibility of all of the tables and fields. So you cannot connect directly to the SQL database. Microsoft don't give us access to that, but basically we connect to our own extensions. So we have two halves, if you like, of our adapter that work together, one part in Business Central and one part inside the Excel add-in inside Jet.
Perfect. That sort of answers the second question as well, which was around the Appsource add-on.
Okay.
So the next one, as you're reporting on live ERP data, how does this affect the ERP system and sort of performance of that?
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't really much, because all you're doing is read-only queries with Jet against the database, and of course, you know, when we're pulling in data like you saw in the financial statements, we are taking advantage in that situation of flow fields. So these are fields that are already calculated of kind of already aggregated numbers. And as you saw, when you use the drill down feature, it's nice and easy to go and see the detail that sits in the ERP. So you know, you don't have to pull, you know, hundreds of thousands of general ledger entries into an Excel report just to provide a P&L statement, for example.
Perfect. Okay, so getting a few come in now, which is good. So the next one is the solution ERP agnostic or specific for Microsoft solution? If yes, can you mention others?
Yeah, of course. So as you've seen, we've got a lot of capabilities where we are understanding Microsoft Dynamics because we are respecting the security. We're working with special fields like flow fields. So there's a lot of capability that we have in our solution that is purpose-built for Dynamics. But actually, you can use Jet reports against any SQL database or any ODBC data source. So in that situation, the Jet, let's say, doesn't have any knowledge of the underlying application, but it certainly allows you to report on other data sources. So you know, we've had situations where people have wanted to report on Microsoft CRM Online, for example, and there are third-party adapters, ODBC adapters for that basically queries the web service, and then Jet Reports connects to the ODBC connector. Or you can go straight to a third-party SQL database. But like I say, you know, a lot of the kind of smart, most of the functions are available to you, but the report design might be a little bit more complex because we don't understand anything about generic applications like that, like we do with Dynamics.
Perfect. Can the Appsource add-in be used for other reporting tools, or is it linked to the Jet add-in for Excel, i.e. could it point to Power BI?
No, not directly. Yep. So our extension works in conjunction. There are two halves, if you like, to the adapter that work together. One half is built into our solution in the Jet products, either Jet Reports or Jet Analytics, and then the other half sits in Business Central. That half is free, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. So another one around Power BI. So what about the upcoming Power BI Business Central connector based on API? Will it change the way to get data out of BC into Power BI?
Yeah, so I think, you know, I mean, Business Central has got like a standard API set, but again, you know, the Business Central APIs are only really a subset of all of the data inside the actual database. Okay, so you'll get a lot of the the common things that you require. I think the thing to watch out for there is any customizations. Okay, because I don't think that the standard APIs from Microsoft are going to include any custom tables, any custom fields, and any development that you've had done. So if you've got third-party add-on solutions to your Nav or Business Central, or your partner has put add-on tables for you, you need to be able to get to that data, because that's often the most important part that's specific to your business.
Perfect. Next one. So what happens to my Jet reports if I upgrade my Nav to BC?
Yeah, good question. That is something that we didn't cover in the webinar, but actually our adapters, so the way that you build a Jet report is the same regardless of which Dynamics version that you're pointing it to. So for example, our library of reports that you download, you'll notice on our website, you know, there isn't a specific version of nav or BC that you choose that for. Our adapter takes care of that. So that means that if you're working, let's say, on a nav database at the moment, and you've built all of your Jet reports on that nav database, and then you upgrade to Business Central, you can simply take all your Jet reports with you and point your reports to the new data source. Now, you know, 99 times out of 100, that as long as that table structure, the field structure is the same, which in the large majority of cases it is, those reports will just continue to work against those extra versions. And any updates that Microsoft are making, any changes to their technology, that type of thing, we are making sure that our adapter is kind of up to date always, such that your reports continue to work. So we're kind of insulating you a little bit from the from the updates that Microsoft are making.
Perfect. The next one I can pick up. So can we give out the fact sheet, Jet reports, Power BI to our customers as well? So yes, you can. All this content that we'll be sending out is customer facing as well.
Yeah, I think that's actually available on our website as a download also. But yeah, I think that's a useful resource for people, you know, to explain to customers, because I think there's a lot of education here that is required, you know, for customers and for partners to have a think about, right, you know, where are we leading with this? Let's sit down, understand, position the products correctly, and make a sensible solution for the future.
Perfect. So the next one, is there a demo environment with Jet and BC 365 Cloud that can be used for customer presentations with demo data and example of Jet reports?
So if it's for customer presentations, all of our partners have got licensed versions of our software anyway. So it sounds as though that question has come from a partner. And of course, any Jet partner has access to our software in order to demonstrate that to customers, and that can be linked very easily to a trial version that you can sign up for, for a dummy tenant for Business Central.
Perfect. Okay, then here's another one for you, Rob. So my customers are heavily driving the requirement for Power BI from seeing marketing from Microsoft. Can you advise the top 3 reasons why they should use Jet reports for their financial reporting?
Yeah, and I think, look, Microsoft are always going to push their own products, and you log into Business Central. There's a button there that says, "Hey, click here to get started with Power BI," and obviously Microsoft are going to push their own products. I don't just like Power BI. I think Power BI is a great tool, and Microsoft give us certain web services out of the box, which are the queries that I explained to you. And there's a handful of those out of the box, and there are a handful of templates that work alongside those, and you can actually surface the Power BI templates that Microsoft provide and actually visualize those actually inside Business Central. So there's a lot of technical capability there, but actually what sets us apart is being able to access any table, any field, any extension field without requiring any development work and any technical expertise. That's really where we're adding value to that. Now, of course, if customers want to put together visualizations and dashboards, that type of thing, then yeah, Power BI is a great tool for that. The question is, okay, how do we get data into Power BI, without a lot of technical effort? Okay, so that's really our kind of message.
Perfect. Okay, and then another one is direct SQL connections on-premise always performed better than web services connections. Have Jet improved performance for web service connections?
Yes, this week is the answer. So yeah, and you're correct. I mean, with any solution, when you're connecting Jet reports directly to an on-premise SQL database, and that's right next to where you're running Excel, maybe on the same network, of course, that is going to be faster, or fastest results. Okay, so it is a challenge. There's a lot of benefits in putting the ERP in the cloud, because you don't have to run servers. The redundancy is taken care for you, and Microsoft are managing the platform. But at the end of the day, you don't have any access directly to the SQL database anymore. So the only way of getting data out is over web services. And that information is transferred either in XML or JSON format. and that is not ever going to be as fast as a direct SQL connection. So we are working all of the time to try and speed up the performance between that. And actually the release of Jet 21.2 that was released this week actually utilizes multi-threading on your PCs or laptops a lot better than it used to before. So when we're extracting data, we're actually running in parallel a lot of threads in order to get the data back into Jet as fast as possible. So that is something that we are continuing to work on, to make sure that the experience is as close as possible to as, I don't want to say legacy, because a lot of people are still running on-prem, but with that comparison, we're trying all of the time to make that experience as best as possible.
Perfect. And then the last question that I can see, so if someone has Jet reports, why would you suggest they use the table builder to make a flat table to use in Power BI? Maybe Power BI can directly get the data from the data warehouse.
Yeah, and I think just the easy access to custom tables, custom fields, all of the time without development, is the answer to that.
Perfect. So hopefully we've answered all your questions today. Thank you for sending them all in. It was a good number and some good ones.